Hi, I'm Lupita, and I will be talking about my proposition is that immigrants benefit the U.S. economy and society in many different ways. So, my three reasons are that immigrants help build and strengthen the economy, immigrants bring diversity and culture to the U.S., and immigrants have made many innovative advances. So, for the first one, immigrants help build and strengthen the economy. They start businesses, so according to the Small Business Administration, immigrants are 30% more likely to start a business in the US than non-immigrants, so like Americans. And 18% of all small business owners in the US are actually immigrants. And so like, you know, all those little like shops with like all of the good Mexican candy stuff, like, you know, all the good stuff. And yeah, so immigrant workers also increase affordability and availability of services like childcare, cleaning services, and like gardening. So based off the US Department of the Treasury, these services in turn increase standards of living and free up time for consumers to devote to alternative economic activities. So like basically, they watch your kids while you go out. That's what it is, basically. And then immigrants in the workforce contribute to Social Security payroll taxes. So according to CNN and the Pew Research Center, almost half, or 3.4 million out of 11.3 million undocumented immigrants pay Social Security payroll taxes. They and their employers contributed $13 billion as of 2010. And they do that even though they're not even eligible for those benefits once they retire. So, you know, they're helping us out even though they don't benefit from that as well. Okay, so for the second one, immigrants bring diversity and culture to the US. Foreign cultures have obviously influenced American cuisine and like eating. So some of what you eat every day obviously like has its origins in a foreign land. So like the ingredients and stuff, and the different kinds of like food you eat every day, like sushi is Japanese. So without the Japanese, we would not have sushi. And then immigrants fuel learning and cultural sophistication. So like the phrase melting pot, it's commonly understood to refer to like the assimilation on the part of the immigrant, but it also refers to those already here who are consistently exposed to new ideas and concepts brought to America. So they teach us things as well as us teaching them things too. Immigrant traditions have become American traditions. So America has like a long history of like athletes from other nations to come here and like play in our sports. But sometimes they also even invent them. Like baseball is a European sport, so like it originated there. It was like kind of invented there for the most part. And then other things rather than sports, like Christmas trees, that was like a thing in Germany at first, and then people in America were like, I want a Christmas tree. And then for my third point, immigrants have made many innovative advances. So immigrants develop technologies and companies. So according to the National Venture Capital Association, immigrants have started 25% of public U.S. companies that were backed by venture capital investors. So this includes a lot of big ones like Google, eBay, Yahoo, and Intel, things like that. Like probably mostly every company or thing that you use is probably foreigners helped, you know. They're smarter, in my opinion. Immigrants are America's engineers and innovators and scientists. According to the census, I don't know how to say that word. I'm gonna skip it. Despite making up only 16% of the resident population holding a bachelor's degree or higher, immigrants represent 33% of our engineers, 27% of mathematicians and computer scientists, and 24% of physical scientists. So their new like innovations and inventions and like companies and stuff, they also like they advance American industries and create a lot of jobs. And then lastly, immigrants have developed new ideas needed to renew the U.S. economy. So according to the Partnership for New American Economy in 2011, foreign-born inventors were credited with contributing to more than 75% of patents issued to the top 10 patent-producing universities. So like universities are able to like do a lot of research and projects and things like that because immigrants like really, they kind of like fuel that and like invest in that and help in that. Yeah, thanks.
All right, Lupita, the proposition's clearly identified, although you've got multiple parts and multiple consequences. So there's a dependent clause and a compound phrase in that. That's, I think, a little bit problematic. You preview the contents of your argument pretty effectively. Here's where I think the big drawback is I don't think there's much dispute on this argument that immigrants have benefited the United States economy and its society. I think you'll find that there's consistent acceptance of this premise. The argument that typically is made on these issues concerns the nature of the immigration itself, whether it is legal or illegal, whether it comes from countries that we have focused on and chosen to include, or those that we have reduced and excluded from those kinds of things. And that's where there's a lot of controversy. There's not really a lot of dispute since, you know, from a technical point of view, everybody here is descended from an immigrant at some point or other, unless you're a Native American, in which case you're probably also an immigrant. Also, we just go back 10,000 years more than everybody else. So the real argument concerns the nature of the immigration itself, and that never gets discussed. All of the data that you present suggests that immigrants are beneficial in a variety of ways. The one place where you do make a reference to illegal immigration is the Social Security information about the amount of money that goes into Social Security that those people will not be able to recover because they're not eligible for it, because they're not working as a documented employee, and as a consequence, so they lose, you know, they're making that kind of contribution. That's the one place where illegal immigration becomes part of the discussion. Everything else, though, is, you know, basically about people who are here and come from other places to be here to work. Maybe some of them are not documented workers and make those contributions, but we don't know. We don't have any way of discerning that from the data that's being presented. Most of the data that you have talking about small businesses, I think that that's pretty effective. The stuff that talks about, you know, the breakdown of engineers and mathematicians and that sort of thing, I think that works pretty well. My guess, though, is that a lot of that is, you know, falls into that category of legal immigration, where people who have gotten here as either students who are studying abroad, or you know, they're foreign students who are learning for a period of time. They apply for a visa and then ultimately citizenship and that sort of thing. You know, if we've got engineers who are illegal immigrants, that would be something that would be important to document. And then, like I said, that would focus where the conflict is on this argument. It's nicely presented. Like I said, you have good information. I'm just not sure that you've connected with where the controversy is on this subject. All right, thank you.